at the ground. So we have to really make sure we understand what's going on at the foot, then up through the
I want to
ask him to shift forward as far as he can without bringing his heels off. So straight body, shift forward as far as he can without bringing his heels off. He gets to about there before he feels uncomfortable. So you want to get a sense from your athletes, if they have trouble holding posture with forward lean, that tells us they have some potential challenges somewhere in the body. The question for you is where? Because if they can't comfortably control themselves, meaning their posterior chain can't stabilize well enough for them to lean forward, they shift in their center of mass too far forward too quickly, and they don't have that hands out here first. And then what he's going to do is he's just going to push forward into me. So go push forward. And then as we do this, I ask him to contract the glutes, contract the hamstrings, and now he's just released probably 20% of pressure off me. Okay, and now stand up. So what we're doing there is initially all the pressure's going on me when he leans forward because he doesn't want to fall. Then we just re-educate basically, get the glutes, get the hamstrings to engage so they can hold his posture better. Then we go up the chain and get the multifidus, TA, all the core muscles. But a lot of the time, if we go straight to the core muscles without getting the legs engaged in a closed chain movement like we're doing here, we got to make sure that we're going in the right sequence. Too many times we try to engage the core. So if this was your wall, you get your knee against the wall, then you move the heel back as far as we can. So push the heel back until the heel wants to come off the ground. Whenever it comes off the ground, we go forward just a little bit. And that's the last point that the foot is able to move back without the heel coming off the ground. Then you measure the distance. And typically measured in centimeters. This test came out of Australia originally. So all the research data is in centimeters. And it's less than 10 centimeters. Do some form of release work. You know, they'll start either here and just work on acceleration, or they'll start here and actually work on loading and then acceleration. So from a standpoint of what do we want to make sure that we look at from that perspective? One is we want to make sure the arms are straight. Because if the arms are here, this is what happens. They get into this position. When we're here, they have to really load the glutes. You can bluff and do an arm movement to get to here. When you're here, you can't bluff. Bluffing will get you to here. Then you have to actually load the glutes. So from a perspective of ensuring that we get the glutes loaded, arms straight is really, really important because then the hips have to move and we can't just shift the ball there. So, and that's where you'll see a lot of people unintentionally go through the motions of, yeah, I'm doing work, which you are, but you're doing very little hip work. Here, you have to rotate more. So from that standpoint, get set, drop down into this hip. Now rotate, rotate. He gets to sort of end range, and then what you do is say drop slightly and get further. Okay? So you get to the end range, and then when that end range is hit, you drop further. Because we want to get that little extra range in a control setting. Don't forget, this is controlled. We're not putting him under significant pressure right now. If he was actually hitting in real life, he would get to this position that we want him to, but he'd sway, he'd shift, he'd do a bunch of stuff that we may not want him to do. Here it's a controlled environment, and we get him out into this position. So from this standpoint, to get him comfortable, get his core working, we do sort of some type of perturbation work or vibration work. You can use body blades, you can use a bunch of stuff, but let's assume you're there. We'll go from here, drop into that position real slow, 5 seconds to get there. So take 5 seconds. So what we do is we start doing our rhythmic stabilization work to try to make sure that he has to stabilize through the hip and then come back and work him through that.